Hi, it's Dennis Daly. Nice to have you along on All Week Theater, where we take a classic radio episode and play it out over 5 days. And now, more of the Halls of Ivy.
That surround us here today.
It's the telephone.
I know, I hear it, but where is it? I'm going to put that extension cord on a deep-sea fishing reel with a strong spring.
It's right near me somewhere. Oh, here, under the evening paper.
Thank you. Dr. Hall's residence, Spokane, Washington?
Good heavens, the Lee girl must have taken a very fast
Yes, put him on, please. Hello, Frederick? Yes, I am indeed. Now, are you ready? Rook to the King's Bishops 3. Check. How do you like them apples, Frederick? Goodbye. Poor old Frederick. Lost both nights last September and can't get his queen out.
Oh, don't these long-distance chess games run up some pretty fancy telephone bills?
Oh, not for me, my love. You'll notice that I always receive the calls. I never initiate.
Oh,
I only play cross-country chess with those of my professional acquaintances who are equipped to finance them, and at their invitation. Oh, I'm no Reshevsky, but playing 20 simultaneous games blindfolded, but I'm pretty good.
I didn't know there were any college professors who could afford that sort of playing.
Oh, there are a few. Pitifully few, I must admit. You know the ones who have written cloak and sword novels for Hollywood, under assumed names, of course. And the unmarried ones who prefer to spend their budgets playing chess by phone rather than go night clubbing.
You gave up a lot of things to marry me, too, didn't you?
I certainly did, my darling. Bad meals, dull evenings, risky encounters with emotional undergraduates, and a growing certainty that life was passing me by. Like poor old Frederick in Spokane, without a queen, I was playing a losing game.
Well, Toddy, you're so dependable, particularly when it comes to giving a wife the right answers.
I think one of the reasons I fell so deeply, and so permanently, in love with you, Vicky, was because you asked the kind of questions I was able to answer.
Oh, one of the reasons I loved you, Toddy, was that if you didn't know the answers, you made them up. It didn't happen many times.
You've a very gracious memory, my sweet. You asked 1,000,000 questions I was unable to answer. Remember the evening by the sea at Brighton? With the full moon across the water and dance music from the hotel, battling the elements to be heard.
It's been a lovely evening, William. I remember it for long, long. I remember it always.
You won't have to make any effort toward it, Victoria. I'll be reminding you. By mail, by cable, by... Is there such a thing as a carrier seagull?
Well, if there isn't, I'll train a few. Has anyone ever had a pet seagull?
I don't know, my dear. But if I were a seagull and you wanted me for a pet, I'm sure I... Did you shiver? Are you cold?
I've never been warmer. I was just shaking off the thought that we'd ever have to communicate with each other by mail or cable or seagull. Tell me, doesn't a sabbatical ever stretch?
Only when one has wealthy relatives and a disregard for one's job, Vicky. And I have neither. My sabbatical stretches only into next week.
It seems only a week since it started. For us, I mean.
Oh, it started earlier for me. It started when I bought one ticket to give them tears. Because I didn't know where else to go for the evening.
I think I knew you were there, even then.
No, you didn't. That was the night the man who played the vicar had such a cold that you were reading all his lines. You were too busy.
Whatever made you come back?
I haven't the faintest idea.
Not the faintest?
Oh, well, possibly. It was because I just happened to think that you were the most delightful, the most charming, the most enchanting, the most...
Go on.
Go on.
Oh, is that all? Oh. I wish you'd come backstage after the first time you saw the play, William, instead of the 27th. It's too bad we can't reach around in time and snatch back a few lost weeks, isn't it?
It's not completely lost, my dear. I saw you almost every night and dreamed of you every day. I was on my way to becoming the traditional absent-minded professor instead of the most timid one. Oh, Vicky, my dear, I am so very fond of you.
And I'm very fond of you, William. In fact, I'm very fond of everything tonight. Life and the sea and the moon and the... Professor, why is the moon always associated with lovers?
Well, considering that I have been in love for such a short time, my dear, I'm rather ill-equipped to answer that question. But, unless I'm wrong, the moon was once part of this earth. And I suppose that lovers are really a little bit a part of each other. They share an orbit of their own.
It's strange, isn't it? That the moon has been shared by millions of lovers and is still on an exclusive basis with all of them. It's our moon, isn't it, William?
Yes. I filed our claim this morning with the Royal Astronomical Society in London.
Good.
I also claimed a proprietary interest in every seventh wave, every fifth seagull.
Beg pardon, sir, it's 10 o'clock.
Listen to them, Victoria. Even the seagulls sound human tonight.
Sir?
I could swear that one of them spoke to me.
Ronnie, darling, Penny is speaking to you.
Penny, do seagulls have pennies? Oh, Penny. I was thinking of something else. What is it, Penny?
10 o'clock, sir. You said to let you know when it was 10 o'clock. On account of you wanted to get to bed early. On account of you was going to talk in chapel tomorrow.
Yes, Penny, so he did.
Thank you, Penny. Good night.
Good night, sir. Good night, Mum.
Toddy, you were 1,000,000 miles away.
238,857 to be exact. Curious, isn't it, Vicky? That so much has been said about the man in the moon, and so little about the moon in a man.
Darling, what are you talking about?
Oh, just a brief planetary excursion. Speaking of which, if I am to star in chapel tomorrow, I must get some sleep.
Your routine set?
Victoria, you make me sound like a trained seal.
Sorry, darling. Do you know what you're going to say?
Well, I know my text, but I guess the sermon will have to, sort of come out its own way.
You're going to talk about Margaret Lee.
Yes, I am.
I don't believe Dr. Gilby would have done that.
I don't think it's quite as much his problem as mine. But his chapel is a house of truth, and I'm going to tell the truth about Margaret Lee.
Good for you. Now get some sleep so you look absolutely dreamy in the morning.
Now, Victoria.
And I'll be in the third row center right across the aisle from the critics. Oh, Toddy, I can hardly wait.
Wait? For what, my dear?
For the papers. I'm dying to read your notices.
So join me next time when I take a classic old-time radio episode and split it up into 5 easy-to-digest pieces right here on All Week Theater.